Now let's look at another special case, task 14, an objective, and put down the reference so that you know what scale you're looking at, and it becomes easy to find. Write it down in your book to be able to identify. I've put that in bold, and expand the difference of two squares. And what does that mean? So you pause, you have control over video, pause the video, and you get that down as a reference. The more you take that time to structure your work, the more beneficial this would be for you in future. And let's look at these two. We will do as as examples. I don't want you doing these the long way. That's why I put them putting in identify. If you identify this type of double bracket question, then you will be able to do it instantly as and get the answer. And what's happening? Note what's happening here. These are generally 1 markers in an exam, by the way, or the inverse, which is factorizing the result. Look at what's happening here. We have the same terms. It's the same pair of terms in each brackets. What's different? The only thing that's right, is the sign, and the order doesn't matter. But we have one of the brackets with a positive sign, one of the brackets with takeaway, but each of the terms are the same. The effect of that is, recall what I was doing before. Let's say for E, was x plus 12 squared, which is x plus 12 multiplied by x plus 12. Just when I was doing those going through those in task 13, then what we looked at was not actually writing out this way, but I've written it out so you can compare and just see the only difference now is the change in sign. In one of the brackets, it's now negative. And just to be absolutely clear, it could be the first bracket. It doesn't matter. That's a change we've made, okay? But that's the change in the actual question we want to do. But let's just refresh what happens here. What happens here is, well, I don't have to write that double bracket out, because what happens is that the first term is going to be squared, x squared. The second term is going to be squared. I'm going to have, in this case, 144, 12 squared. So x squared, x times x is x squared, 12 squared, 144. And then because it's the same sign, what was the effect? What was happening was we would have x multiplied by 12, 12x, and then another 12x. And in other words, the middle term was double the product. 12x doubled gives me plus positive 24x. That's what was happening before. What do you think happens if the signs are different? It's not going to be a doubling effect. It's going to be that's right, it's going to be a canceling out effect. That's what's going to happen now, and that's the pattern. That's why we call it the difference of two squares. What happens? Long way. X times x is x squared. X times minus 12 is minus 12x. But then x times positive 12x times x is positive 12x. That's what we're talking about. We're not doubling. They're canceling each other out. Minus 12x plus 12x is just going to leave me with a big fat 0, nothing to write. And the final bit is the 12, where in this case the signs are going to be different as well. So I'll have minus 144. So that's the difference here. The sign changes. Instead of positive 144, I have negative 144. But critically, it's the effect of canceling out the middle term. The x term gets canceled out. I get x squared minus 144. So the technique, what we want to show here, and I'm just going to copy this page. I didn't have a copy of it. I've gone through the first principles, the big idea there, but the thing I want you to spot and to use as a technique to finish this exercise really quickly, but to keep the technique in your mind to be able to work through it in future, is as soon as you spot this pattern, difference of two squares is what it's called. The terms are the same. The only difference is the signs. Then the expansion is the first term squared, x squared, take away the second term squared, 144. There will be no x term. So quickly looking at G, using that idea, I have 3x. I'm going to square the 3x to get 9x squared. And then I'm going to do 2 squared minus 2. I'm going to do the 2 squared, which is 4, but I'm gonna minus it. That's the effect of the plus and the minus. Or the other way to look at it, if you're thinking squared, is all you need to do is multiply the first two terms and multiply the second pair of terms. Make sure you keep the signs. That's what we're doing every time. That's another way of looking at it, because the middle terms, because of the sign change, the middle terms disappear. So no need to do 4 multiplications. You need to identify this type of expression, this type of this type of double brackets with the difference of 2 squares. As soon as you spot that pattern, it's just the first terms multiplied, the second terms multiplied. Or the first term squared, take away the second term squared. That's the big idea. Boom, 4 of them. Get it done quickly. You pause, then you were getting it done. You have about a minute, just pause, get it done quickly. You're writing down the questions. Make sure you're writing down the questions and then going through them, your answers. You have the chance still to pause. I should be working in red, and get them done if you're not done as yet. I'm going to put up the answers now. It's going to be x squared take away 9. It's going to be x squared take away 81. It's going to be 4x squared. I'm multiplying 2x by 2x. Take away 1 squared. 1 squared is 1. And then it's going to be 16x squared. I did 4x times 4x, so the 4x times the 4x. And then I have to do the plus 7 times the minus 7, which will give you minus 49. It is that easy, but it requires you identifying this particular type of expression. Once you identify it, boom, sorted. Quick one. Y'all like this task? I like this one. This was a quick one, but a very important. I don't think I've ever seen an exam where you have not had to rely or draw from this knowledge of this idea of difference of 2 squares. So very, very important for higher, more complex maths. Make sure you're able to identify this pattern.